Oh man, my draft day special is here. Man, oh god. Jason, what's up, brother? Man, what's up with you, man? Um so I literally just finished up my draft grades. So here's how I do it. Every single pick in the first 3 rounds, I write down the player, I write down the team, I write down if there's a trade, and I just write down my letter grade, just bam. Then I write down every single trade, and I use the chart listed below. If you go to the description, that way you can see, and I factor that in. Then what I do is the third day of the draft, which I watched earlier today. I just go up and down, and I'm looking for specific players and where they go, and that's kind of how I do my trades, my grades. I went out of my way not to watch or not to get on social media, not to watch ESPN, not to watch the NFL Network, except for the draft itself. I don't want to regurgitate information. I try to do it even, but there is a log jam at the B grade. I try to divvy it up. So here's my grades. I'm going to go worst to first, but I gave 2 D pluses, 5 C minuses, 3 C's, 4 C pluses, 5 B minuses, 6 B's. There was some borderline, some teams BB pluses. I just a lot of B's. Maybe it's not right. 3 B pluses, 2 A minuses, 1 A, and I think 1 clear cut winner at an A plus. I had a hard time giving grades out for trades that were made earlier, players. I think I did a fair job. But listen, if you give me a good enough argument, if you give me a good enough argument, and you want to change my grade, sure, let's hear it. James is ready, man. Perry, what's up, brother? I know it's funny. I don't know if you watched. I think you were there live. No team had a worse day one than the Detroit Lions did. No team did worse day one. You may or may not like what I had the Lions doing, but no, out of all the teams that failed day one, the Lions biggest losers day one. But let's start off with the 2 teams I gave D pluses to. And look, life's not fair. So let's start off. I gave the Miami Dolphins a D plus. For those of you that don't know, Stephen Ross tampering, they lost their first pick in the draft. That's the reason. Is it fair? Maybe not. The players that they drafted, especially if you include, if you go ahead and you include the 3rd round pick, I mean, you're looking at maybe a B or a B plus. But when you include Jalen Ramsey, then the players that the Miami Dolphins got, it's probably B. Well, I don't know what, if you include Ramsey, maybe a B plus. Ramsey fits perfectly with that team. But when you lose your first pick in the draft due to a tampering issue and you didn't even get the coach or the quarterback, I mean, that alone's bad. Is it fair? No. Here's another reason why they get D plus is that, they traded for Bradley Chubb. They gave him a lot of money. They gave a lot of money to Jalen Ramsey. What's the best case scenario for the Miami Dolphins this year? I mean, what's the ceiling? Let's say you divisional round. You go to the divisional round. Is that fair? I can't put them in the AFC championship game. Let's just look at the divisional round. In order to get there, you had to do a very good job with Tua. So how do you pay him when you have all these other salary cap issues? So there's a lot of problems there with Miami. But Cam Smith and Devin Archain are 2 excellent players. Their last pick in this which was round 7, Ryan Hayes, offensive tackle from Michigan, may end up making the team. The players that they got, excellent picks, but because you didn't have a first round pick for something stupid, you get a D+. The other team I gave a D+ to, also for partly for a tampering issue, was the Arizona Cardinals. The players that they drafted, they made some good draft picks. I'm giving them a D+ because you have that tampering issue, and I thought they could have picked other coaches, but bottom line, you have a first-time head coach, first-time offensive coordinator, first-time defensive coordinator, and you also, on top of that, lose a draft pick. Then you made multiple trades where you get draft capital for 2024. I'm not a fan of doing that, and the reason why I'm not a fan of doing that is you don't know who's going to be available. I mean, let's just build, give up I've never seen a team openly tank for a season as much as I've seen Arizona tank. Now, keep in mind, they should ace next year's draft, but this draft is you lose a pick for the tampering. You got the wrong coach, my opinion. There's all sorts of problems here. I thought Paris Johnson Jr. was a reach, but I don't hate it. Some of these picks, though, are really, really good late. Dante Stills, our very last picks, a really, really good player. Owen Papoe out of Auburn. I love Clayton Hoon at the top of the fifth. Some people didn't like that pick. I loved it. I think it's a good fit for a team like this. Some of these middle round picks are not bad, but bottom line, losing a pick for a tampering issue. I know technically it was a third round swap, but it was going from the top of the third round to the bottom of the third round. That combined with giving up picks in this year's draft for next year's draft, I've never seen a team just openly try and tank, and that's what you're seeing with Arizona. So I'm giving them a D+ for that. I do like some of these players, though. I like some of these players a lot. Little 710's in the house. What's up, brother? I'm anxious what you hear about my Lions grade. You may not like it. I just choose to look at the positives. I understand. I'm trying to give you positives and negatives. Texans had a good draft. Philly had a great draft. If Carter develops its great defensive tackle, look out the card school, Brad Holmes in trade. Oh, my girl. Hey, girl TV. I saw you called. I literally woke up and just spent all day working on the draft. It took a lot longer. Also had an issue here at my apartment complex that is handled, but took a couple hours out of my day. But I am so glad to hear from my girl. Oh, by the way, unfortunately, guys, she's married. So Super Saiyan Lions. What's up, DAN? Teams forget that you need to keep the offensive and defensive lines flowing with young guys. Oh, man, I got Divine Comedy in the house. What's up, brother? Funk, what's up? What's good, fans? Hey, listen, you may not like my Lions grades. My Hawks kind of ruined the Lions draft, LOL, after helping us into the playoffs. Sorry, Detroit. Lions stole day true in the draft. Dan hates the Lions. That's what's Seahawks killed the draft, though. All right, well, I got two of my losers out of the way, and they were for reasons non-related. I'm going to start with my C- grades. I'm going to start with my hometown Kansas City Chiefs. I was not happy with my Chiefs. And then what I was really disappointed in is I heard multiple things that affected the draft. I heard some people say that the Chiefs weren't able to trade up because people don't want to trade up with the Chiefs. I watched New England trade up and down for 20 years, so I don't understand that logic. And then people said that they wanted to draft the hometown kid because the draft was in Kansas City for it to be a good story. Here's a better story. The Chiefs draft a player to help win a Super Bowl. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, FAU. Those are his initials. I did not have him as I had a couple players ranked ahead of him. Didn't really like it. Rashid Rice, I would have been happier if the Chiefs flipped these picks around. But both these picks not bad. Kinsey traded up in the second round with Detroit, which is kind of fun. Wanda Morris, some people tried to, actually Keys hit me up. It's like, hey, do you know Wanda Morris was best friends with the Chiefs starting offensive guard? I can't believe I can't think of his name right now. That's very embarrassing. I can't think of my own Chiefs players starting roster. I'm beyond embarrassed about that. Trey Smith. God, I can't believe I couldn't think of Trey Smith's name. I don't think that really had a lot to do with it. Andy Reid brought it up. I had a 4th round grade on them. There were some other players I liked a lot more. Late in the draft, they got some decent players. Felt like they really reached on this. Chamari Connor's an interesting pick. They're calling him a corner. I think he's more of a safety. So I gave the Chiefs a C-. Was really disappointed in my hometown Chiefs. Next team I gave a C- to was Washington. As general rule of thumb, if you draft one of my draft crushes, I give you a higher grade. And they did draft Emmanuel Forbes, but Christian Gonzalez was on the board. I don't know how you pass up Christian Gonzalez and get Emmanuel Forbes, even though he wasn't my draft crushes. When I looked at the Washington Commanders, I said, you need to draft offensive line. You need to draft corner. They did that. The corners, first and second round, third and fourth round was 2 offensive linemen. Great. I don't know why I'm drinking an energy drink. I don't need it. They reached on all these guys. And then late in the draft, I like Chris Rodriguez. I didn't get the pick. You already got a guy just like it. He's your starter. And KJ Henry's also a solid player, but I think they reached on every single one of these picks. The reason why I didn't give them a lower grade than a C- was because they drafted where they needed their players to go. They needed help at corner. They needed help on the offensive line. They did that. I think they reached almost all these picks, even though their first 4 picks in the draft will help their team out this year. Offensive line picks may be depth, but they'll still help. Just reaches all over the board here for Washington. I gave the Chicago Bears also a C-. You had the 9th pick in the draft after trading for Carolina, which I thought you did a great job. You get number 1 wide receiver. You did a great job. You have a chance to take Jalen Carter, and some teams didn't want to take him, and I get that. But you drafted 3 defensive tackles in the draft, and you passed on Jalen Carter for I think it was a 2024 4th-round pick. At 10, you took Darnell Wright, who I think is a right tackle, not left tackle. And I know you're going to run the ball and everything, but I couldn't pass up the best defensive tackle and you needed a defensive tackle. I know because you took 3 of them. And then you go Darnell Wright. I had a few players rated higher, including your hometown kid Skornonski. So I didn't get this at all. By the way, though, I do like that you take a massive right tackle and a massive defensive tackle. Gervon Dexter, 2nd round. I do like that pick. Tyreek Stevenson's interesting. Size speed combo. I'm not sure he's an NFL safety, but good value. I would have liked him on another team because I think in Chicago he's going to need to play, and I don't know if he's ready to play right away. My favorite 3 picks of Chicago are easily their 2 4th and their top of the 5th round. They get Rashawn Johnson, the other running back at Texas. Really like this player in the 4th round. This is a great pick. Tyler Scott didn't have a great 40 time at the Indy Combine, but this is a track and field guy, deep speed guy, kind of like Darnell Mooney, but you get a good speed guy. Noah Sewell could have gone in the 2nd round based on 2021, not last year, but this is a guy who's going to make the team. So you get some good picks late, but I don't get that you pass up on Carter. I understand the concerns, but when you draft 3 defensive tackles, you have an opportunity to get them. And then you trade down to let the Eagles get Carter for almost nothing. Then you reach for Wright, which I can't sign off on Wright at 10 at all. And I could have given them a worse grade, to be perfectly honest. James, everyone does behavior person. No, exactly. We just have to see. You don't know how the draft matches out till about 5 years, but yeah, I'm just giving you my grades here. Do I like it? I did like that. I did like that. You, like I said, you Lions fans may not like what I did with Detroit, but I gave him what I thought was a fair grade. I gave him a C- last year. I thought that was fair. I think I was right. But hindsight going into the season when all those late round picks panned out, I just felt like it was a really good draft. Jimmy, San Francisco won the draft. We'll talk about San Francisco here. One thing we all know is Brad doesn't care about your mock draft grade or position value. Jake Moody equals guaranteed Super Bowl. Actually, that was a really good pick. I want to talk about that. 6th pick in the first 2 days. You can take a swing on a playmaker with the first pick, second pick, and third pick. You take the best player on the board, but people just don't like because it's not what they wanted. No, I get that. I have some. I haven't used some in a while, but I do have some. Yeah, absolutely. I have some. I have the C4 energy drinks and I have the C4 powder. I'm stopping with the C4. I have the link below. The reason I have the link below is at Price Chopper and at Walmart, they're like $2.50. You can get 20 for $12 at Amazon. I found Dollar Store, they have the Bang for $1.25, which they're like $3 at Walmart. So like I'm switching over, save a few pennies. But if you like to see for energy drinks, and they are fantastic, I have a link below, save you a few bucks, a few pennies per drink. But I mean, you have Amazon Prime, they deliver a 12-pack to your door for $20, or you can spend $2.50 at the grocery store. So you are right. You are right. But they drafted 3 defensive tackles, and Jalen Carter was available, and they gave him nothing. Dexter would have been a great choice for Detroit. That was a really good pick. Slasher in the house. I'm curious if you like the Eagles draft. I'm going worst to first. I haven't brought up the Eagles yet. I'm on my C- so far. Go Dogs. We're gonna start calling Philly North Georgia, man. All right. Green Bay also got a C-, and I want to be very clear. I like their draft. Like if I'm just going on players, it's much higher in a C-, but every single Packers fan I talked to last year told me the same thing. Problems with their offensive line. There's not one single offensive lineman that they drafted. I'm looking through here. They ended up with 4 7th-round picks, 2 6th, 2 5th, a fourth, a third, 2 second, and a first. Not even one offensive lineman. I don't get that. I don't get it at all. So that's why I'm giving them a C-. I really don't like it. I love Lucas Van Ness, not a day one starter. I like Musgrave and I like Tyler Croft and I like where they're drafted. I don't get why you double dip. Jalen Reed, early in the second, well, actually mid-second round pick. I did a lot. I've gone through a lot of mock drafts. I don't think I saw Jalen Reed in the top 50 in any of them. You could have gone later, and I don't think it was an issue. And I don't get why you would want to draft 2 more wide receivers in the draft too after you double dip on running backs. I didn't get that. Sean Clifford in the 5th round from Penn State's not bad. Not bad at all. Drafting a kicker, I'm also on board with. Some of these picks in the 7th round may pan out, but Carl Brooks, I have no idea why the NFL Network's calling him a linebacker. I think he played defensive tackle. I saw a lot of mock drafts where he could have gone a lot sooner. I don't understand why Green Bay ignored the offensive line completely. I don't get the double dip at tight end early. I also don't get the triple dip at wide receiver after you drafted 2 players last year. It just I also don't understand why you didn't draft offensive line. Speaking of offensive line, another team I gave a C- to is the New York Jets, which at when Pittsburgh leapfrogged them to 14 to take Broderick Jones, they kind of were stumped on what to do. So they went ahead and took Will McDonald at 15. I like Will McDonald quite a bit. I don't like him at 15. They drafted Jermaine Johnson last year, I think at 26. I had a higher grade on Jermaine Johnson than I did Will McDonald. The problem with Will McDonald, he needs an NFL weight room. He's like 235, 240. They're going to ask him to play defensive end, not linebacker. I know he played defensive end in Iowa State's 3-3-5 type of defense. He's not going to be able, even in that wide 9 defense, he still needs to put on about 20 pounds. So you take a guy at 15 who's a project. He just traded for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, you can't. The future is now. You need now, not guys that can help you down the line. And your first, course of action should have been getting an offensive lineman. When Paris Johnson went off the board at 6, you should have been making moves to trade up to get an offensive lineman then and there, not just sitting back at 15. Well, we're going to take the best offensive lineman available. All 4 of the tackles that you would have taken were gone, and we'll reach about 10 to 15 spots for McDonald. I don't like this at all. Tippmann in the second round is very solid. Carter Warren was injured, but if he was healthy, probably a second round pick. You're banking on that to protect Aaron Rodgers. I mean, if you had Zach Wilson back there, I'm all for it. And Zach Wilson may be on. I don't like this late. You made the swing and a miss there if you're the Jets. I do like Zach Kuntz in the 7th round. This is a guy that this was a really deep tight end draft. So tight ends that should have been drafted earlier probably go later. But Zach Kuntz in the 7th round is a steal. He's going to make this team. So I really like this. I've been using Legion products. My gym's been selling the protein powder post-workout. So there was a company, this one girl I knew that was into. I'm not going to say the name because I no longer use the stuff anymore. But there's some other stuff I may look into. Right now, I've just been using energy drinks, but it's something I probably should stop sooner or later. I'm going to probably take down the Amazon link for the C4 because I switched to bank. The only reason I switched to bank is I found them at the dollar store for $1.25. I'm like, wait a minute. So I literally got all of them. I got like 2 12 packs. I got them all. So that's why. My buddy loves Bang energy drinks. So yeah, the original Monster. Yeah, I do all sugar free. Every single energy drink sugar free. All of them energy drink. Was Deuce Vaughn by the boys more of a heartfelt pick, or is he actually? I think it's a great pick. I think it's a great pick. 2,000 all-purpose yards, punt returner, kick returner, receiver, runner, bottom of 6th round. And by the way, if you do a heartfelt pick, Kansas City, this is how you do it. Into the 6th round, not top of the 1st. Not really. So you know the deal, man. I don't recognize you, man. But great to have you here. And I'm looking at your deal, Cowboys. We need more Cowboys fans here. This is not a heartfelt pick. This, if you saw it, his dad's a scout. For those of you who don't know, Deuce Vaughn's dad is a Dallas Cowboys scout, and they drafted him. He started crying, and great job by Dallas Cowboys in getting this guy late, who's not only not a heartfelt pick, he's going to make team. He's going to contribute. He's a good football player late in the 6th round. It's a great pick. So I'm glad you're here. If you haven't already, Ben, please hit that subscribe button. He may not be an immediate impact guy, but Sidney Brown was a nice replacement for CJ eventually. You're right. I haven't talked about him yet. I haven't talked about the Eagles, but yeah. I do only sugar-free. I've been trying a bunch of different ones. I think all the Bang drinks are sugar free. The black cherry is my favorite. I Denver Gator, what's up, football nerds? Funk, you guys got CJ's replacement. What's even a big contractor branch? I was really smart. Hey Girl TV, get me some love. Broncos get a B, should jump to an A for draft. I'm just at my C so far. So Slasher say now no one allowed to say nice things about the Lions draft. It was the worst draft ever recorded. Not banned in the crowd. I think the Lions had a really solid, good draft despite some draft value. You guys got some dogs. I haven't got to the Lions draft yet, but people may not like. They failed day one. Late rounds. Yeah. It was a great story. Titans, I remember when you were relevant, no wide receiver at Levis. Don't worry, you have second quarterback next year. I haven't got to Titans yet either. Three teams with a C. I'm going to start off Minnesota Vikings. Jordan Addison was solid. This was a team I thought would get a little more creative, to be perfectly honest. I thought they'd get a little more creative, maybe trade down, but I thought they stayed at 23rd. I was really expecting Will Levis to be the pick. I do like Jaron Hall, quarterback out of BYU, late in the fifth. A really solid pick. I like Addison. Thought they would do more at the front seven. Jacqueline Roy, top of the fifth round, really good pick. My favorite pick. Blackman and Ward, I would have flipped these guys in draft. Maybe they make the team. Overall, if I was a Vikings fan, I'd be a little disappointed. I do like Addison. Don't get me wrong. I mean, day one starter, really, really good player. Depends on everybody had a different number one wide receiver. If he was your number one, which I'm not sure he was, it's a good fit. Day one starter. The way this draft was, if I was Minnesota, I would prefer they trade down with like that. They would have done a little more with their front seven. But Jacqueline Roy, top of the fifth round, is a really good player. Perry asked a fantastic question. Why do you think Levis fell? I think it's just the film, to be honest with you. I've watched a lot of guys play, and with quarterbacks, I can tell almost instantly if there's a guy who's a really good quarterback or not. And I kept on hearing all this hype about Levis, and I watched him play a couple of games. I never saw it. I never saw a guy who was a first round pick. I mean, the size, the intelligence. I heard he did really well in interviews. 4.0 student, that was something Bill Parcells liked. But every time I watched him play, I never once said that's first round quarterback. I watched excuse me. I watched Matthew Stafford when he was a true freshman at Georgia. He had this one pass. Now they kept on replaying it. It was such an impressive throw. It was a 40-yard throw down the field that went maybe 8 feet in the air. I mean, you talk about laser beam. And they kept on showing that over and over again. I'm like, that's the first pick in the draft. I watched Andrew Luck for a few minutes. I said, that's a first-round quarterback. I kept on watching Levis. I kept on expecting something to pop out. I never saw it. I think when you look at the film, you see usually you draft a quarterback one round early. So if you see a guy who's a second-round pick, you draft him in the first round if it's quarterback. It just didn't happen. Just didn't happen. But I think he went in a good spot. I'm going to tell you something. He may be in a better spot than CJ Stroud because he's going to get a situation where he could sit. There's no pressure. He's not going to be ready. And then if he ends up becoming the number 2 guy or the number 1 guy down the line, they'll have everything else ironed out in front of him. So long-term may be a better deal for him. But the short answer for that, Perry, is just watch the film. He never leaped out. I never saw anything. Like I watch Anthony Richardson. I'm like, that's a guy. I hope he goes to the right team. That's first round quarterback. I never saw that with Levis. I think more and more teams watch the film. Decision making was questionable. He played in the SEC with probably the least amount of talent surrounding him, and maybe it made him look bad. But I never saw anybody who just like, hey, this is a first round quarterback. That's my opinion. I know Eli Ricks, DB from Alabama, some legal issues and injuries. Actually, a really good corner. Ran 4.6, played at Alabama and LSU schemes. He's I actually don't remember that name being called. I could be wrong. So I thought they should have traded down this year and added more to the front seven. I when I went off here, did they draft a linebacker? I mean, they lose Hendricks, and did they even get a linebacker? I think they did late. Yeah, no, they didn't even get a linebacker. So I was kind of confused. I thought they matter of fact, I'm gonna move on, but. Speaking of confusing, I gave the Chargers a C. Now, just with the players they got, maybe a B minus, maybe a B, but if I couldn't figure out why they didn't get one secondary player. They had Nasir Adderley, their starting free safety, retire. They spent a lot of money on J.C. Jackson. It was just he got benched before he got injured. So I don't know why they didn't draft any secondary players. I mean, they gave up a 27-point halftime lead in the playoffs. I would be going all in on defense, not drafting a pair of wide receivers early, which they drafted Joshua Palmer in the 3rd round last year. He was a raw guy who had to play early because the injuries played really well. So they had 3 really good receivers. So they could draft Quentin Johnson. He's my wide receiver number 1. You pick my wide receiver number 1 at 21, really good player. Tuipulotu, I'm probably butchering the name out of USC, great player, great fit, love it. Front 7, Dalen Henley, linebacker. Excuse me. Well, probably depth, could be eventual starter, really good player. Darius Davis, again, why double dip with TCU wide receivers in the first 4 rounds when I didn't think it was an issue? They drafted the defensive tackle, Matlock, in the 6th round. He may make the team. And then Max Duggan, the TCU quarterback, along with his 2 TCU receivers. Kind of fun, but if I go just with the players, maybe a B minus, maybe even a B. When I looked at the Chargers, I was like, they need secondary help. They need corner and safety, not one. And I didn't get that at all. That's why I'm giving you a C. Look at the division you're in. You know, who are you trying to beat? You're trying to beat Patrick Mahomes and the defensive back that you gave a lot of money to. You benched him, then he got hurt, but you're not going to fix that. That to me would have been a big priority. You're a defensive-minded coach, so I don't know why you're drafting wide receivers when you have 3 really good ones already. Didn't make a lot of sense to me. There's a lot of people that really, really felt that the Chargers should draft a wide receiver with some speed. I didn't get that. They didn't fail day 1. Swift was on his way out. Dude was getting disheveled most of the season. He has a hard time staying healthy. Gibbs will be what you wanted Swift to be. I'll talk a little more about the Lions when I get to them, but bottom line, I thought that of all the teams in day 1, they did fail. And by the way, Swift was on the team when they picked him. Now that he got moved later on, I'll touch base when I break down the Lions draft and I give you my grade. But if Swift and Gibbs came out the same draft, I would have had Swift rated higher. I really would. But that's kind of my issue. And drafting him at 12 was a mistake. But I'll talk more about the Lions. Let me get through. I'm going to go worst to first. I haven't got through the Lions yet. They got higher than a C. So the Vikings, I really thought that you could have gone quarterback, then built up the front 7. And they didn't do that. It's kind of weird. I'm not really sure what they're doing. Which player? Eli Ricks. Okay. The only thing I like about Levis is that he would truck stick because Love is not elevated. He kept getting comps. Oh, okay. He went undrafted. That's a great undrafted free agent. I literally spent all day today. I literally just finished up my draft grades and on all the notes. I'm not going to show you exactly. I'm going to hide this here because I don't want you to show, but this is my trade book. This is my pick book. and these are all the players I had. So like I literally just spent all day today just trying to figure out the draft grades, and it was really, really hard. Really, really hard. It could be LA Horned Frog. Yeah, you know what's kind of funny. I didn't realize they chose so many Horned Frogs until now. So, but I didn't get why not draft. The trades that Holmes made the draft worse than it was when the players the Lions took rounds 1 and 2 were good players. Given Campbell and Branch should be good players. Slasher says, hope so. Honestly, though, I'm really excited for Sidney Brown. I'm not trying to compare them all, but he literally looks like Palomalo in college where he's all over the field causing havoc. Oh, yeah, Dungy Gruden. Yeah, I get that. Recently been liking Philly, but now I like Georgia Bulldogs and off. It's all good, Denver Gator. I hate the Falcons to make you feel any better. Speaking of Falcons, I give the Falcons a C. I love Bijan Robinson. I've been mocking Bijan Robinson to Atlanta. This is a team that's in win now mode. So you draft Bijan Robinson, he gives you the best chance after all the time you spent building up your defense. Then you trade up in the second round for Matthew Burgeon and offensive tackle Syracuse. I didn't get this at all. I don't even know if he's a day one starter. To me, on this team, he would be a swing tackle. Maybe you want to kick him inside. I didn't get this move at all. Zach Harrison in the top of the third round, don't have an issue with it. He's not an edge rusher, but he does fit. If you're going with your 3-4 defense, which is what you were doing, I'm assuming you're going more for 4-3. So is he a big edge guy? Again, another depth piece. So I don't like these picks. Fourth round, Clark Phillips, third. That's a good player. Should have gone in the second round. Really good player. He may start. He's that good. He may start opposite AJ Terrell. And DeMarco Hellum, safety out of Alabama, didn't run well. I think he was injured this offseason or something. Seventh round, he'll make the team. I like Robinson at 8. It's always a risk to take running back top 10. I think it's smart. I gave him a C because 2 reaches and no pass rushers on a team that only had 21 sacks. It's hard. It's hard for me to really like that. So I wanted Bijan, but I can settle for Jalen Carter. The way he got emotional and all that at the draft. If you listen to him talk, seems really committed for football and all that. Just watch film, best player in the draft, arguably. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But Atlanta, I at first I had him as a C+, B-, just for Robinson alone. But it is a risk. I mean, taking a running back top 10 is a risk. I mean, there's a lot of people that think that you don't even want to take running back in the first round. You take them 8th overall, it's a risk. The next 2 picks, your reaches and the Burgeon pick just doesn't make any sense to me. Let's say you kick him inside and you kick him inside, maybe he starts at guard, or you're going to tell me you couldn't take a guard at 30. I didn't like it. Also, no, Zach Harrison's a guy, he's called an edge, and maybe he plays defensive end, but he's not the guy who's going to get you double digits in sacks. So that's pretty funny. Next up are my C+ grades. I got 4 of them. I'm going to start with San Francisco here. And by the way, here's the deal with San Francisco. Here's the deal with San Francisco. If I just go by the players that they drafted, probably B+. I mean, you don't have picks because of Trey Lance, who may not even play for you. It's hard for me to really get on board with that. But I had a hard time figuring out how to grade this team. Should I give them credit or should I take off because they don't have to pick 1 and 2? Well, that was for last year. It was really hard. So, I mean, I'm not really being fair to San Francisco by giving them a C+, because the players that they did draft are really, really good players. Just on the players themselves, probably a B, maybe a B+. Jair Brown, their first pick, 24th overall pick in the 3rd round, runs a 4.55 at the combine. Second Second rounder all day. Ran a 4.65. Watch this film, second round pick. Jake Moody, probably best kicker in the draft. You're a team with a great defense and a good running game. You want a really good kicker? Absolutely. Cameron Latu, kind of surprised they double dip in tight ends. Now, when I say double dip, they chose one pick 247. So it's a flyer. It's no big deal. Cameron Latu is a pretty solid pick. He's more of a receiver than a tight end. I don't mind that. They got some picks late that I really liked. Ronnie Bell, very late in the 7th round. He may make this team. Luter Jr., the corner out South Alabama, probably makes this team. D. Winters, tackling machine, goes to the right team because he's undersized. Doesn't matter. They are a really good player who contribute on special teams. Robert Beal Jr., size, speed combo, perfect fit for him. You get him at the end of the 5th round. That's a fantastic spot for him. So I really, really like the picks that they got. Little sins of the father type of deal by giving them a C+ grade, but I can't give a good grade. I can't give them a B. I just can't. I can't give them a B when they messed up so bad in getting a guy that's probably not going to be their quarterback. There was talk on the NFL Network, at least, that maybe come around August, if Purdy's healthy, maybe you trade Lance, and that makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, exactly, and your job's on the line. So that's why I really liked it. I just think that, look, you had 21 sacks last year. Okay, you had 21 sacks last year, and no edge rusher help, and I get you drafted an edge rusher, but he's really more of a 5 tech. He's more of a run stuffer than a pass rusher. Not that bothers me. And Virgin, I thought he was a 3rd round pick, and I don't get the need for Atlanta. I would have gone in another direction completely. And you traded up for him. Hook him up with the thumbs up for the vid. Hey man, I appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it. I dream back when Tennessee released Willis, we can pick him up. And that'll be interesting. That's going to be a fun preseason battle. Oh, 44th. Yeah, I get that, Slasher. I get that. I'm not going to talk trash at all about that. It was a good win and great game. So we should have picked Avila over the tight end. Losing out on 10, 12-year starter was bad value. Oh God, I loved Avila. That was a really good pick. The other team I gave a C+ to, and again, sins of the father, was the Denver Broncos, mainly for the Russell Wilson trade, which isn't fair because if you just go by the players that they drafted, this is a B+, maybe, and I would say a B+ draft. Marvin Mims, their first pick in the draft, bottom of the 2nd round. I thought it was a reach. Not a bad player, but Drew Sanders and Riley Moss in the 3rd round. These are guys I've seen mocked in the 1st round. These are great picks. And what I really like about these two guys is that you're taking over. You're Sean Payton. You're a Hall of Fame coach on the offensive side of the ball, right? Offensive side of the ball. You draft a couple studs on defense. JL Skinner at the top of the 6th round, going to Denver. This guy's going to make the. Speaking of making the team, 257, Alex Forthsmith, the center out of Oregon, he makes this team. All 5 of these players are going to make the team. These are 4 really good draft picks. Mims, I think, was a reach. Didn't like that. The other 4 picks were all A+. If I just went on the picks themselves, probably B, maybe B+. Really, really good job by Denver. But again, I'm giving them C+ because, they lack draft capital. And plus they did trade. They did. They traded up with Detroit. They gave up pick 60, 65 and, 68 and 139. To trade up for a guy that I didn't really think was worthy of a 2nd round pick. So, really like the players that they chose. But again, kind of sins for the father. It's hard for me to give him a lot of credit for, trading for Russell Wilson. So Tennessee preseason is going to be really good. And by the way, Tannehill's I think going to be 35 this summer. I mean, I think Tennessee in a perfect world, I think that they want to get rid of Tannehill, and then they want to go ahead and get rid of Tannehill and have either Willis or Levis win the job. And I like the fact that they took Levis. I haven't got Tennessee yet on my grades, but I do like it. How do I feel about Rashee Rice over guys like Mims, Dell, Hyatt, and Tillman? Do you like it? I do. Somebody brought this up, and I don't know why I didn't think of it. The owner of the Chiefs lives in Dallas, went to SMU, so he drafted an SMU receiver. I do like it, but I was really high on Hyatt. I really thought the Chiefs would say, hey, let's add some speed to this offense, and they decided not to do that. They just went with, Rashee Rice, bigger physical guy, kind of like Juju Smith-Schuster, not a big guy, but or not fast guy, but a bigger receiver with great hands. Rice is my favorite pick in the draft by far, but I was a little surprised the Chiefs didn't say, let's add some speed to this offense, because they don't have anybody who can take the top off of the team, and that's by design. So I'm a little concerned about that, but he's my favorite pick of the Chiefs. I give the Chiefs a C-, so I like it. I don't love it. I saw a few mock drafts where he was mocked at the bottom of the first to Kansas City, but for the most part, I've seen rounds 2 to 3. I am rated higher over the Chiefs' first round pick, which I was really disappointed about. Which one's Baby Atwater? If Wilson does come back, the form the deal was good. If we don't, the deal was bad. Yeah. Another team that sins of the father, Cleveland, and just on the players they drafted, probably B+, maybe even higher. But when you don't have a pick in the first 2 rounds, I can't give you higher than C+, even though I love what they got. Cedric Tillman at the top of the 3rd round, great player, a good fit. Massive sides on both sides of the ball with Sekai Ikaya out of Baylor, the massive defensive tackle. I don't know how he fits a 4-3 scheme, but I like the fact you go him and you go Dawan Jones, the massive offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Luke Weipner, I have no idea why he fell so far. I don't know if there was an issue. Oh, you're talking about JL Skinner. Yeah, that was a great pick. These are some really good offensive line moons. Isaiah McGuire, 4th round out of MU's good pick. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I like going to Cleveland. That's the perfect team for him. And the reason why is he'll be a backup, no pressure to start. Late round pick, should make the team. And you can get creative and use them as like a wildcat situation. 2-point conversion plays. I really like what Cleveland did, just on the players alone, B+, but when you don't have a pick in the first 2 rounds and then the player you traded for misses all those games, I can't give you a better grade than a C+, even though I really, really, really like what they did. I like all these players. So Skinner was a guy like that. Otters are yeah, you're right. You're right. Finally, my final C+ grade is for the Carolina Panthers. They gave up a lot to get their quarterback. That's what they felt like they needed. I get that. Jonathan Mingo at the top of the 2nd round, size speed combo, had some really good moments at Ole Miss. Kind of a project player, but I don't have too much of a problem with that. The issue I do have is that, like, he's not ready day one. DJ Johnson, it's kind of interesting because I don't know if they're planning on using that 3-3-5 defense, but he would be kind of a 3-3-5 type player. Kind of a project. Again, you only have 5 picks in the draft, and you have your quarterback that you trade off draft capital, that have the number 1 pick in the draft, and then you go with 2 kind of project type players right after that. I didn't really like that. Their 4th-round pick, Zavala, it may be a starter. This is a really good player. And then Jamie Robinson, safety out Florida State in the 5th round, one of my favorite players in the draft. Really like this guy. Didn't run good at the combine. I think he ran like a 4.59. Watch tape, 2nd-round pick all day. Really good player. He'll contribute on this team. So I like their last 2 picks in the draft. I don't have a problem with Bryce Young. I give him a C+ because they gave up a lot to get this guy. Then your next 2 picks in rounds 2 and 3 are kind of projects. I didn't get that. I would have liked it because you gave up all this draft capital. I would like guys that are better day 1 starters. Keep in mind, both these guys pan out. These are going to look like home runs. So I'm going C+, and I think that's fair. Do you think Deshaun comes ready to play, or do you think he's just keep? No, I do. I think he's ready to play. I think he actually played pretty well considering everything he had to go through. I think this year, because he just concentrated on football, he'll be in the same scheme. OTAs off season, finally some normalcy will come back to his life, and there's some real talent. The Cleveland Browns are a team. I've been telling people, like, don't sleep on this team because in the AFC there's so many bigger stories going on. The Cleveland Browns, nobody's looking at, but you got a really good quarterback, top 5 running back. There's not a better athlete than Myles Garrett. Not a better athlete. He's always a defensive MVP caliber player. I don't care if anybody says he doesn't like to stop the run, but just phenomenal pass rusher, maybe the best pure athlete in the NFL, maybe just pure athlete. So that's kind of why I look at it. They're a team. Do not sleep on the Cleveland Browns. I think a lot of people are. And I think that they're the team. If you had to say, give me a team that didn't make the playoffs last year that will make the playoffs this year, I would say Cleveland's among top of the list. And I think they're a team that everybody in the AFC should really watch out for. But nobody's really talking about them. I can't believe the Saints got Brees and Foxley really beefed up their defensive line backup. Plus, yeah, they still have Cam Jordan. But I wish him well in the field. Yeah, I get that. I think where he is drafted is pretty well, though. I feel teams just when they get guys they want to throw. Yeah, when you get guys you want, throw position value out the window. Yeah. I gave 5 teams a B-. I'm going to start with Tampa Bay. The players that they got are higher than a B-. Okay, probably a B, maybe B+. I couldn't figure out why he didn't take a quarterback. I don't know why he didn't bank on a running back. Those would have been 2 positions I definitely would have drafted, maybe 1 or 2. And no quarterback didn't make any sense. Kalijah Cansey and Cody Mock are phenomenal players. If Cansey pans out with the rest of that defense, you could have something very special defensively. There's some really good defensive players in Tampa Bay, but yeah, you got Baker Mayfield. You got him on a 1-year deal. So if he pans out, what are you going to do? He may have priced himself out of the Tampa Bay window. And if he doesn't pan out, you don't have a draft pick. Kyle Trask was a 2nd-round pick a couple of years ago when Brady was there. But if he was the answer, he would be the starter. Not, you wouldn't have even gone for Baker Mayfield. So that's not the answer. So I don't get I wanted to give Tampa Bay a lower grade, but God, I love some of these players. Jose Ramirez, their final pick in the 6th round. This is a real good player. He's going to make the team. He's going to have an impact. Trey Palmer, great size speed combo. Ran a 4.33. All sorts of issues at Nebraska as far as the team, the offense, but I don't think Tampa Bay is really like the best team for him, but like also kind of hoping he would go to a team like my Chiefs, where give him a chance to develop. He may not get the right chance there, but he's a guy, if he gets a chance, like he could be something really special. Payne Dornum didn't have a good combine. Watch the tape, 2nd, 3rd round player. Also, there's a lot of good tight ends. Payne Dornum is a 5th round pick, will make the team and he'll contribute. Yaya Dibby, Soraka Dennis, also guys, really good fits for this team. Cody Mock, great fit, day 1 starter. Really liked what Tampa Bay did. I have no idea why they didn't take a running back. You just released Fournette. You signed him to a 3-year deal. Comes in camp overweight, underperformed. I thought it would be a better thing to do instead of just releasing him. This just, kind of light a fire under his ass instead of just like, go away. Why didn't they draft anyone? I didn't like that. I can't get behind Tampa Bay not going quarterback either. Something that I really couldn't figure out. Another team I gave a B- to was the Saints, and I kind of wanted to give the Saints a higher grade because I love Brees, I love Folkesley. I also like Kendre Miller, their 3rd-round pick out of TCU. When Kamara has that 6-game suspension, what you may want to do is ride Miller. He's got the NFL build, not a speedy guy. They also got some A.T. Perry and Jake Heiner, quarterback out of Fresno State in the 4th. And A.T. Perry, I kind of wanted to give the Saints a higher grade. I liked Folkesley a lot better than FAU, the Chiefs drafted in the 1st round. But none of these guys, they didn't really hit home runs here. They just really did a good job. I'm kind of leaning maybe B-, B+. They're kind of in that middle ground there. I went B- because they didn't really excel, but they got some really good players. So I thought Brees looked nice. I like the way he plays. He needs some pass rush moves and learns how to hold leverage. I think he's going to the perfect spot. I think he's going to the perfect spot with the Saints. They got some defensive tackles in the offseason. So he's not in a position where he needs to play right away. But if him and Folkesley pan out, this could be a fantastic draft. They had an opportunity to draft a quarterback. I can't get behind Tampa Bay not taking a quarterback in this draft. Tanner McGee went in the 6th round to the Eagles. Why did I there's some question marks. So I gave the Saints a B-, but I felt like it was kind of B-, B there. So Cody Mock is a Pirate all day. If you only, I loved Cody Mock. I loved him quite a bit. Goes to a perfect spot. Day one starter. If you go by the players they drafted, probably B+. I just don't understand why you didn't draft a quarterback. I can't get behind that. Another team I gave a B- to is the Las Vegas Raiders. This basically comes down to 2 picks, Tyree Wilson, Michael Mayer. I like that you traded a few picks up to get Michael Mayer. Really like that. If these 2 picks pan out, the rest of the draft doesn't mean anything. Aiden O'Connell at the bottom of the 4th round, quarterback out of Purdue, really stands out. He's a guy that you just kind of look as a guy that you can maybe build on. Really good fit for the Raiders. Trey Tucker, Jacorian Bennett, Channel, Al Davis, speed guys that the Raiders kind of needed. I kind of like this here. But again, this all comes down to Tyree Wilson and Michael Mayer panning out. Both these guys pan out. This is going to be a great draft. I like some of these picks later. I could have given the Raiders a B, but there's some question marks regarding Wilson. Byron Young was a reach, and Tucker Bennett were fast guys, but they were drafted where they should be. So Cody Mock would have been a Hall of Famer if he came to Statler. Laporta and Gamble is nice, so is Branch and Hooker. Another team I gave a B- to is the Baltimore Ravens. So you got Lamar Jackson, you signed OBJ. I have no idea why you chose Zay Flowers. Now, how much credit should I give the Ravens in this draft for Roland Smith? It's not Roland Smith. Come on, Dan. I'm so embarrassed. I forgot to go. Yeah, Roquan Smith. I'm sorry. Okay. How much credit? I ended up not giving them a lot of credit for that move, which maybe I should. Maybe it's not fair. If you include Roquan Smith in this draft, probably deserves a higher grade. Here's the problem, though. You have Roquan Smith, you have Patrick Queen, and then in the 3rd round, Trenton Simpson, a fantastic pick, but does he really fit? Now, if you use a base 4-3 defense, and Trent Simpson's fantastic, more than likely he's going to replace Patrick Queen when you have to let him go. And it's kind of frustrating because you have Patrick Queen who's played really well. He was the guy you drafted, the guy you groomed. Then you bring in Raquan Smith and you give him the big contract. It's kind of a tough thing. So, it's questionable. The rest of these picks really like Travis Tavius Robinson, kind of what you're looking for, the outside linebacker if you're a Ravens. Andrew Voorhees, for those of you that don't know, he would have gone second round all day, tore his ACL. I think at the combine, so it's going to be a redshirt pick. This is something that the Ravens have done before. When he starts next year, it's going to be fantastic. I felt kind of bad giving him a B-. The Zay Flowers pick, if you had him as the wide receiver number 1, great. But after signing OBJ, used first-round pick on a wide receiver last year, 2 years ago, I didn't get it. I would have gone in another direction completely. I actually would have gone with a corner. K. Blue Kelly, by the way, their 5th-round pick out of Stanford, could have gone in the 3rd round. Really good pick. So, I mean, I probably could have given the Ravens a B. Zay Flowers, I just, and then Trenton Simpson, love the pick. It's just that it kind of says that, hey, you're going to move on for Patrick Queen. So, also not a guy who's going to help you except on special teams right away. So, I went B- with Baltimore. But one thing I want to say is that Voorhees, their last pick in the draft in the 7th round, he'll probably be a starter next year. So. Hooker was high risk reward. If he develops faster at a time, we have to pay Goff. Absolutely. And you have him top of the 3rd. Miami building like Al Davis. You're on a 4-5. Exactly. Philly dog. I don't get Laporta better than Meyer. No, I have Meyer significantly better. I have both their films, and Meyer stands out to me as tight end 2 behind Kincaid. I can make an argument Meyer's number 1. It depends on what you want. What I like is that I think the Raiders are going to be more of a running team. Waller doesn't block, so Meyer is going to be an excellent blocker and phenomenal hands, and he has a lot of ability in the passing game. So I love Meyer, so I get that. Avila over Laporte, I could go with that. My final team with a B- is the Dallas Cowboys. How much credit should I give the Cowboys for giving up only a fifth round pick for Stephen Gilmore? That kind of factored into it. Maze Smith, Luke Schoonmaker, a pair of Michigan players, I think were both reaches, but they fill needs. Shoemaker has talent. I would have gone in a lot of different directions instead. Maze Smith, I thought was a reach. There were some talks that they fielded calls from Kansas City to trade up, and they just declined because they wanted Smith. If that's the case, they should trade down because Smith would have been available. Later in the draft, they got some really, really good picks. Overshawn's a linebacker, a safety linebacker out of Texas. He's the guy who's going to have a big impact on this team. Fahiko Jr., excellent pass rusher. Get him late in the 4th round. Really, really good pick. Asim Richards, he's listed as an offensive tackle. Late in the 5th round, he may kick inside the guard, be your day 1 starter at guard. This is a great pickup. And then the Deuce Vaughn story at the bottom of the 6th round, the feel-good story. He'll not only make the team, but he'll contribute. Jalen Brooks, their last pick in the 7th round, may also make the team here. The Cowboys had a really, really good draft. I give them a B- because Smith and Shoemaker, I think, were pretty big reaches. Overshawn is going to make team. He'll make an impact. Picking him at bottom of 3rd was good. Not fantastic, but overall, if you just took away their first 2 picks, this might be an A- draft, but I'm gonna say B+. I know you guys just drafted Laporta, but Meyer's clear. I think Meyer's better than Laporta, but I'll talk about that in a little more detail when I get to the Lions. The Ravens, yeah, they did. It was hard for me to get on board with Flowers after giving OBJ the money. That's why I didn't. I believe public over. All right, so the 6 teams I gave a B to. This was really hard. I really wanted to split this up a lot more, but I gave 6 teams a B. I'm gonna start with the Tennessee Titans, and I'm giving them a B because Skornonski was my number one offensive lineman. I thought that was your biggest need going into the draft, and the reason why is that you have you have Willis, the quarterback needs to develop. You have an aging quarterback, and getting Skornonski day one starter, whether he's at left tackle or you kick him inside. I love this pick. This is a great pick. Will Levis at the top of the third round. You traded up to get him. I really like that because you have an aging quarterback in Tannehill, who I think Titans want to replace. That's why you draft Malik Willis. Malik Willis hasn't panned out, light a fire under his ass. If Willis ends up being a backup quarterback or the eventual starter, it's better to lose a second round pick than a first round pick. And with Levis, worst case scenario, he's your backup. Tajay Spears, I really like. Wiley, tight end out of Cincinnati, also really liked. Jalen Duncan in the top of the sixth round is a guy I think that could be your future starter at either left or right tackle. This is a phenomenal pick. I really wanted to give the Titans a B plus. It's just that I didn't have. I think Levis at the top of the second round's a B. Skornonski is a B plus type pick. Tajay Spears B plus. Jalen Duncan's an A, but overall, I'm just giving them a B, but it's like a high B. So like, let's say you're going to school. There's a difference between an 86 and an 83, but they're both Bs. I would give this more of an 85, 86. This is like almost a B plus. Really like what they did. I would have liked it if they would have got a wide receiver. They got one in the seventh round. I'm not counting that. This is a team that really needed a wide receiver, but since you didn't have a lot of picks, I like what they did in the draft. If they would have took a wide receiver, but I'm not sure which one of these picks I would have substituted for a wide receiver. That's why I give them a B. Next team I gave a B to is the Seattle Seahawks. If you take away the Witherspoon pick, I'm probably giving this an A. And nothing against Witherspoon. He wasn't my number one corner, and you got him at 5, which was a little confusing because you drafted Kobe Bryant and kid at University of Texas, San Antonio started for you. I can't believe I forgot his name. But anyway, you got a couple of corners you drafted last year. I thought maybe you draft a corner. I was a little surprised that's the number one position that you're going to draft at 5. It really, I didn't get that at all. If it pans out, great. But I mean, you Woolen, thank you. But you got Woolen in the 5th round. You had Kobe Bryant in the 4th round. I don't know why. Yeah. There's some other players coming from the XFL in the other league. I didn't like the Witherspoon pick. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. The rest of this draft is phenomenal. Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to fit in perfect. Derek Hall, really good fit. Zach Charbonnet, I probably had like a 3rd, 4th round grade. I like him going to Seattle because they're building with some size. I really like that. And then Anthony Bradford, Cameron Young, Mike Morris, all bigger. Ola Omatumi out of Michigan. Kind of funny that Pete Carroll chose a couple of Michigan players. Pete Carroll, John Harbaugh feud, but they're 2 picks in the 4th and the 5th round, all bigger players. All these guys probably going to make team. Kenny McIntosh in the bottom 7th round. I like. Remember when Rashad Penny was drafted in the 1st round, they had Chris Carson in the 7th round. Chris Carson ended up winning the starting job. Seattle Seahawks, one thing I like about Seattle, they're the only team in the NFL I can say for an absolute fact that they do not care where you're drafted. You can be a 7th round pick. You can be a 1st round pick. They'll just play the best player. Every other team says that. Not every team means it. Seattle means it. Pete Carroll means it. They drafted really, really well. If I was a little higher on Witherspoon, they probably got to a B plus. But I give them a B because I would have done something different than Witherspoon at 5. Damn near close. Yeah, Jamal Adams has to stay healthy. Condre Diggs has to stay healthy. Bobby Wagner backs. Great move for them. They did some really, really good things in Seattle. They did some really good things. I love their draft except for Witherspoon. Except for Witherspoon, this was like phenomenal draft. Giving them a B is not a bad grade, though. Next team I gave a B to was the New York Giants. If you watch my draft show, I really like the fact that Jalen Hyatt, he was a guy I was kind of positioning maybe the Chiefs taking first round or second round. They need the speed guy. They get a guy in the third round. They also got a real good trade from the Rams. Should have had this ready. This is one of my best trades. They gave up 89 and 128 to get to 73. That's a real good trade for them. Then they get Jalen Hyatt. John Michael Schmitz at late in the second round is a good player. Deontay Banks is a guy. Third round tape, top 10 combine. You get him at 24. Wink Martindale loves big physical corners who can run fast. Of course, every team loves big physical corners that can run fast. Great fit. And then they got some players late in the draft that I really like. Eric Gray, 5th round pick out of Oklahoma. He's going to make the team. He's really going to help out. I really like what the Giants did. Also like the nice trade that they got with the Rams. That's kind of why I gave them a B. I could have given them a B plus, but I don't like Jalen Hyatt quite that much. So yeah, exactly. And that's why they took Witherspoon. I still think that was a little high, but I don't hate it. I mean, I give them a B. I mean, that's not bad. So the Giants, I gave a B to. Really like what they did in the draft. Really like what they did. Let's see here. I had 6 teams total. So let's see here. I had Tennessee, Seattle, the Giants. I'm trying to go in alphabetical order. I didn't write them all down. Okay. The other team. The team I had them trading with, the Rams, I also gave a B to. Again, sins of the father type of deal, but Steve Avila is a guy I like. Day one starter. Byron Young, Kobe Turner. I really like Stetson Bennett in the 4th. I didn't really care for all that much, but I love what they did with. So here's the deal. You win a Super Bowl, then you have to get rid of all these players to the salary cap issues, and you lose depth, and you have a 5-win season. Do you take it? And there's a lot of football fans out there that would say, "Hey, give me the Super Bowl win, and if we have a losing season next year, we'll deal with it then." It depends on what you like, what you don't like. They won the Super Bowl. They bought the Super Bowl, but they had to pay for it next year and the year after because they lost all these players in free agency. So it's kind of sins of the father. But look at some of these players they got. Travius Hodgins Tomlinson, LaDainian Tomlinson's nephew at the top of the 6th round. He's going to make team, probably your starting nickel, really good player. Zach Evans at bottom 6th round. He's going to make team, pretty decent player. 107th round, going to make the team. Davis Allen easily could have been a 2nd round pick. Bottom of the 5th. That's a great pick. Warren McClennan's not only going to make this team chance to start. Nick Hampton, another guy, could start. They did some really good jobs. And here's the deal. You got 4 5th-round picks, 3 6th-round picks, 3 7th-round picks. 6 or 7 of these guys are going to make the team and contribute. And because you have salary cap issues and a lot of other stuff, you have to do it. But they did an A+ job. On the players that they got, I'm probably giving them an A, but of course, it's kind of sins of the father. Giving them B sounds really fair. I didn't like the trade that they clearly lost to with the Giants, but they needed to draft capital, so I don't really hate it. I'm pretty sure Sherman said it was the cover 3 with those safeties and made it losing boot. So I'm going to go with his word. Regardless, they were trying to fix it back. Yeah, exactly. But I really like what the Rams did. They had lots of salary cap issues. They had lots of cap casualties. So they traded down, got a bunch of late round picks, and they aced the 5th, 6th, and 7th round. They did better than anybody. And total of 10 picks. And I bet you 7 or 8 of these guys are going to make the team. So really great job by the Rams. And I could have sworn I already did this. Next team I gave a B to is the Houston Texans. I love that Houston Texans did, but giving up a 1st and a 3rd next year is why I give them a B. First-year head coach, you're probably starting a rookie quarterback. That usually doesn't equal success right away. You're probably giving up a pretty high first and third in next year for getting your players this year. I like it. Don't get me wrong, but that's why I got you at a B. You get my quarterback number one, you get my edge rusher. I like Tank Dell at the top of the third round. It's a little high for him, but you got a player with big play explosiveness. No offense, Houston, you're probably going to be down in a lot of games this year. So you take Tank Dell at top of the third round, no problems with that. Dylan Horton at the top of the fourth round may surprise and be a starter. Henry Tutulo, I'm butchering that name. Bottom of the fifth, probably going to start. Your head coach played linebacker at Alabama, and then he played at Houston. Got a couple of Alabama players. Love it. Jared Patterson, center out Notre Dame in the sixth round, probably going to make the team. Brandon Hill, pick number 248, probably going to make team, be a special teams guy. I really like what the Houston Texans did. I can't get behind giving up as much as they did for the third. You know why that guy lasted to the sixth round? I have no idea. That was a guy a lot of people thought would go second and third round. Like I said, I'm really high on the Houston Texans draft, just giving up as much as they did for Will Anderson. This is not a team that's going to be successful right away. So you're giving up a lot of draft capital on a team that could really use draft picks next year. So it'll be interesting, but Arizona next year is probably going to ace the draft. I gave them a D+. So, and to wrap up my B grades, kind of a surprise team here, Jacksonville. And the reason why I'm giving Jacksonville a B is I love what they did is that they traded down 3 times in the first 2 days. And one reason why I like that is because Jacksonville, when you go to the AFC divisional round game, you win a wild card game, they could have looked at themselves as a team that was already there, and they just need like 1 or 2 players. When reality was they had the first pick in the draft last year. So what they should do, stockpile this team with a lot of players, and you want to get a lot of depth, and you want to get a lot of cheap depth because sooner or later you're going to have to give Trevor Lawrence a boatload of money. So I love the fact that they traded down multiple times. They ended up with 2 picks in the fourth round, 2 picks in the fifth, 3 picks in the sixth, and 3 picks in the seventh. And what they did late in the draft, I really like, including one of my big time draft crushes, Antonio Johnson. I thought he would go a lot sooner. Why he went pick 160, I have no idea. I was going to give him B+, but they didn't do enough in this draft to earn a B+ grade. The talent that they got is probably more of a C grade. They reached on Harrison. Brenton Strange, I thought was a reach. Tank Bigsby, I thought was a reach. Ventrell Miller, I thought was a reach. Lacey, I thought was good value. And then Adula and Johnson. Johnson's fantastic. And Johnson may end up being a starter. You get him late in the fifth. I love the fact that they didn't approach this draft as a team that's already there. Jacksonville said, look, we're an up-and-coming team. We got a lot of work to do. So they got it. Here's the deal. When you have a young team, in your building, you want to get a lot of players because you're trying to build from the ground up. You're trying to build a 53. They could have easily just said, hey, we're pretty good. We're going to get like 2 or 3 players and we're good. Instead, they went with depth. I thought that was really smart. I thought that move alone, I thought trading down multiple times. And by the way, they got positions that they needed. They needed help on the offensive line. They felt like they needed another tight end. I loved Antonio Johnson, and I understand he tested terribly. This is a 5-star player. Watch his film. He's easily a second-round pick. They also got some players really late in the draft. Cooper Hodges at Appalachian State, Raymond Volchik in the 7th round out of North Dakota. These are guys that are going to make the team. They got a lot of these late-round picks are really going to pan out. So I really, really, really like what Jacksonville did. So that ends my Bs. And for a team that some of you are curious about, and like I said, you may not like my draft grade, but I'm going with my B+, and I'm going to start with the Detroit Lions. I gave it B+ too. Despite doing badly in round 1, if you told me before the draft started, you're getting Hendon Hooker, Brian Branch, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, and Jahmyr Gibbs, I would have told you to put down the blue Kool-Aid and sober the fuck up. I mean, you remember that purple drink? I mean, what the hell are Lions fans thinking that you're going to get Hendon Hooker, Brian Branch, Sam Laporta, Jack Campbell, and Jahmyr Gibbs in this draft? There's no way that this is going to happen. And they pull it off. I'm back cooking. So if you're a Lions fan, how did you get these 5 picks? It doesn't matter what you did in the draft. Okay, so normally if you take a pick in the 3rd round who didn't get invited to the combine, I don't like it. I like Broderick Martin here. And part of it is that even though John Dorsey is not the GM, and he's, as one Lions fan told me, that he is not the assistant general manager, but I guarantee you his weight has a lot of his voice carries a lot of weight in the draft room. I think that if he said something and Brad Holmes said something else, they may go with Dorsey. This is a classic Dorsey pick. Look, I really thought that I would see more of a 4-3 type of defense. Instead, you go for 3-4. Well, that's a good move because you're going to give Houston on the outside as far as you can. I thought Hutchinson at 2-point stance. So get Broderick Martin, the giant defensive tackle, Western Kentucky, to play the zero technique. You didn't really have that. I thought McNeil was better suited for a 4-3 coming out of North NC State. He's really not. He's more of a 5 technique. Josh Paschal, who I blasted the Lions for taking early in last year's draft, he's now going to be a 5 technique. So you have that. I think his value is a lot higher than a lot of people think. But with these 5 players that I just mentioned, that's an A, maybe an A+ draft. The fact that they reached for Gibbs and Campbell is why I gave them a B+. But Broderick Martin's a good pick. Kobe Sorstal out of William and Mary may make this team. And Antoine Green's not a bad pick either, a final pick early in the 7th round. This was an excellent draft for the Detroit Lions. Best part is that you get rid of Swift for a future 4th round pick. It's a 2025 4th round pick, which may not sound like much. It may sound like a pick that's thrown away. That's a solid pick. All right. That's a very solid pick. And it's a pick that you can use next year. And you say, Dan, you said it's 2025. Doesn't matter. If you got to trade back into the 2024 draft, you already know that you got some draft capital coming your way. You can trade that pick and you can use it. The Detroit Lions fans may not like the B+ grade. If you told me that you get Gibbs, Campbell, Laporta, Branch, and Hooker, I would have told you were high. That's an A+ draft. This is just genius on what they did. I don't care that they reached and got Gibbs too early. They liked him. And I didn't like it because you already had Swift under contract. Guess what? You get rid of Swift. Antoine Green may actually make this team as a 7th round pick. This was a really, really good draft. You had 8 players. I thought maybe you might trade down, get some more, but your first 5 picks are as good as any first 5 picks in the draft. I mean, these are just amazing picks. So a lot of you may not like the B+. Yeah, I mean, I after day 1, if you had told me, Dan, you're giving the Lions a B+, I would have told you to put down the green, the blue drink. Remember the purple drink? You know, that's like what I wanted to tell Lions. Put down the blue Kool-Aid, because I remember I got on social media after the first round of the draft. Oh, Gibbs is starting. No, he's not. I honestly, I thought Swift was a better prospect than Gibbs coming out. I was like, where are you seeing Gibbs? And then, he's gonna return kicks. You don't want the 12th pick in the draft to return kicks. That's not smart at all. But Hooker, top of the 3rd round. Brian Branch early in the 2nd. Laporta, here's why I like Laporta. I had Michael Mayer rated higher. Okay. I had Michael Mayer rated higher. When I watched the Detroit Lions last year, they didn't really use Hawkinson. That's why they traded him. Instead of having that true Y tight end, they got a guy in that, Travis Kelce mold. Laporta is going to be a guy who's a tight end in name only. And here's the great part about a guy like Laporta. This guy's a weapon. He's going to be used like a wide receiver, but he's going to make half the money because that's the way the tight ends work, is that the tight ends basically – Travis Kelce makes $14.5 million. There's a couple wide receivers that make 30. That's why I like the Laporta pick. Was Gibbs, Campbell, and Laporta reaches? Yes. Are they all players who are going to contribute big time this year? Absolutely. So who cares about the draft rankings? This could easily be higher than a B plus, but the fact that they reach, I got to ding them a little bit, but a B plus, this is easily could be an A draft, easily an A draft. You got to look at it like they got both Laporta and Gibbs with the 6th pick. It makes it look. I do it as it is, and I like the draft. I like Swift more. I like Swift more than Gibbs. I think I had first round grade on Swift, the second round grade on Gibbs. But the simple fact is that you were done with Swift. He's not part of your future. Gibbs is, and Gibbs is your guy. Swift's not. That's why I like it. And by the way, just because it's a 25 pick, you can absolutely use it this year. I think Campbell was going to make it out of the first. I think he was going to be in the second round. And that's why I thought it was a reach, but it doesn't matter because it's day one starter. Right? You get day one starter in Campbell, maybe a day one starter in Branch. You get a weapon in Laporta. It doesn't matter if he starts, and it's excellent value. And I say excellent value, not at pick 34. It's excellent value for this team because of the way that they're going to use them. And then you get an extra speed aspect with Gibbs, and then you get rid of Swift. That's why it makes the pick so much better. This could easily be an A grade. I said you wouldn't like my grade because I'm giving them a B plus, and is that fair? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm giving them a B plus because I absolutely love the players that they got. They get a B plus only because they reached a lot. But who cares if you reach if you get the players you want? So I had late first on Gibbs and an early first, second on Swift. LOL, I'm mad about your picks. No, I mean, if you want to tell me that you gave the Lions an A, I can't argue with that because they got the players that they wanted. They did reach. That's why I'm giving them a B plus. But like I said, if you told me before the draft they're getting Hooker, Branch, Gibbs, Laporta, and Campbell, I would have said no freaking way. Not possible. No, not possible. Even with the PFF trade tool, you can't get those 5 guys, and they did. Then their final 3 picks in the draft, these are 3 pretty good players. Ignore the fact that you reach on Broderick Martin. He fills the need. He didn't have a zero technique. And you know what the best part is? You draft a guy like this. This makes it easy. You can move Ozarike, or you can make him be a part-time starter on third down. So Hooker and Branch are the only 2 I wanted. I would have. Here's the deal. I think Jack Campbell would have been great. I thought when you reached for him at 18, I was really upset. I thought the Lions failed day 1, but they did so good the next 2 days that they easily get a B plus. If you don't like the Lions draft, I don't know what to tell you because I mean they really aced it. They just reached. That's why I give them a B plus. The other 2 teams I gave a B plus to, I gave the Indianapolis Colts a B plus. And it wasn't really just for Anthony Richardson. What I liked is that they traded down twice, and then they took Julius Brents in the second round. And that's kind of where I had him. He fits the scheme that they're going to use if they stay the same defensive scheme. I should double check because I know they have new coaching staff, so I don't think they're going to change too much defensively. Brents fits what they want, could be a starter. Josh Downs, maybe a reach in the third round. I think it's excellent value because you could take him in the second round. You have big wide receivers and athletic tight end. You don't have a player like Downs on this team. So you have a young up-and-coming quarterback like Richardson. You want a receiver like Downs because you already got the big physical receivers and the athletic tight end. So you want a smaller slot guy in Downs that can make stuff happen in the open field. I love that. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. You know who I'm talking about, defensive tackle Northwestern. On film, he's a 4th-round guy. You get him at the top of the 4th. There was talk about him going in the first round to 4.59 40. I could see a team. I really thought that this would have been a guy somebody's going to reach for, and I was getting ready to say, hey, I don't like it. You get him in the top of the 4th round in Big Ten country there in Indiana. This is a fantastic pick. Darius Rush and Daniel Scott picks in the 5th round definitely could make this team. I like Will Mallory. Their final 4 picks I also really, really like. Jalen Jones could make this team as a 7th round pick. Evan Hall is a 5th-round pick running back. This guy also makes the team. There are some really, really, really good players that they had. Martin had a bunch of 30 visits. He turned to Snacks Harrison, who somehow went. I thought your Chiefs brought him in. I think he got brought into Kansas City. I know we didn't take him, but I'm not giving the Colts a B+ for Richardson. I like the fact that they traded down, got a decent player in Brents, 44, maybe a little high, but traded down twice for him. Johnson only bench 8 reps, a 31-inch vert. I mean, I'm not too concerned with that, to be perfectly honest. But I'm going back to the Colts here. After their first 2 rounds, which were really good, I mean, rounds 3 through 7, you got a lot of draft picks and a lot of really good players. A lot of really good players. I really like what the Colts did. The B+ grade I wouldn't give for Richardson, but if this pans out, this could be a draft for all time. Blake Freeland, top of the 4th round, could be a starter on the offensive line. Really good pick. I blasted Atlanta earlier for taking Burgeon. You could have took Freeland, I would have been okay. I thought Freeland would have been better at 38, and Colts could have 106. So that pans out as my B. That pans out for the Colts. My final B+ is unfortunately for the Buffalo Bills. Their first 2 picks, Dalton Kincaid. First of all, you trade up, you leapfrog Buffalo. Last year, you got leapfrog by Kansas City. Leapfrog? Is that right? Anyway, Kansas City jumped in front of you. This year, you jump in front of Dallas. You get Dalton Kincaid. I'm telling you right now, if Dalton Kincaid was available, that's Dallas Cowboys pick. You jump in front of him. You don't give up too much. Osiris Torrance, one of my draft crushes. Plug and play at guard. You get him at pick number 59. He could have easily gone in the first round. This guy is going to be a monster. And what do you need help with? You need help with your offensive line. You scored 10 points in the playoffs against the Bengals. What do you do? What's the best way to fix your offensive line when you have a Pro Bowl wide receiver and a Pro Bowl quarterback? Well, you had some holes in your offensive line. Not anymore. Is this the end all be all? No, I'm not saying that, but this is a guy who's going to improve every layer on that offense. Don't forget, also you got James Cook in the second round rookie who's got a ton of potential. Just need to put on some weight. He could be a stud. He could be a stud. So there's a lot to like. And Dalton Kincaid, another. I can't emphasize this enough. He's a tight end in name only. This is going to be just a big wide receiver. And when his contract comes up, even if he plays like a stud, puts up Travis Kelce type numbers, he's going to get half of a wide receiver number because he's a tight end. This is a fantastic draft for the Buffalo Bills. Branch benched 14 reps, 34.5-inch vert, 10.5 broad, only 4.45 in the shuttle. He did participate in 3 going. I'm confused on why Johnson draft. I mean, if you look at the tape, this is early second, first round, but I love it for Jacksonville. He's also a guy. He may put on 10 pounds and he may be a linebacker. He's also a guy that in a confusing type of defense could be a pseudo linebacker safety. He's a guy that who I looked it up earlier. I'm drawing a blank on the player's name. Whoever the strong safety is for Jacksonville, he wants to stay healthy because I have a feeling if Antonio Johnson is the backup strong safety, he gets in, he's not coming out. I think that was a great pick. I wanted to give Jacksonville a higher grade than a B, but they reached in the first couple of rounds. But of course, I love Torrance, but Southern boy going to get eaten up from those cold winds. But Buffalo. Dorian Williams fits that Tampa 2 defense that they like to run, smaller but fast linebacker, really good fit. They got some late round picks that are interesting. Justin Shorter, big Florida wide receiver. Why Buffalo got a couple. They got all their players except for 2 of them from the Southeast. That was kind of interesting, but he's a big wide receiver. You may have to move him to tight end. It'll be kind of interesting, kind of a project there. Nick Royker, one of their 7th round picks, decent guard out of Ole Miss. Wouldn't be surprised if he makes the team. Wouldn't be surprised. I really like what the Bills did in the draft. Kincaid and Torrance, two of my favorite players in the draft. two guys that are contribute immediately. I say contribute. Torrance, day one starter. How they use Kincaid's going to be very interesting, but you're probably going to see a lot of 11 personnel. You got Dawson Knox and Kincaid. I wouldn't be surprised if Kincaid ends up being a better player than Knox. You move on from Knox, and you're also going to save some money. If Kincaid turns out to be the type of guy that everybody thinks he could be, you're going to get one of the best players in the NFL, and you're going to pay him half of what he probably should make because you're calling him a quote unquote tight end. Broad jump, 10-yard split. Everything else was blah. What was 10? I have no idea off the top of my head. Okay, so finally, all my A grades are coming out. There's only two teams with an A minus, one team with an A, and one team that I thought won the draft. I gave them a B plus. First team I gave a minus to is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers. They get a little bit of a bump. Allen Robinson for a 7th round pick. I didn't like doing that because I don't know if you consider that part of the draft or not, but you're getting a guy who's, probably going to start on your team for a 7th round pick. I mean, that's pretty good. First of all, you take Broderick Jones early. I love this. You leapfrog the Jets. It's definitely your pick at 15. Kind of funny because you trade with the Patriots. You're screwing over the Jets. Day one starter, whether he plays left tackle or you kick him inside guard, doesn't matter. You help your offensive line. Really, 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 really important that you do that. I thought this was going to be for Joey Porter Jr., first pick in the 2nd round. Sooner or later, he's going to be a starter at corner. And Patrick Peterson makes the move to safety, which a lot of people think he will do. Then you have something possibly really special. Kenny Benton, pick number 49 in the draft. I thought that he was comparable to Mazu Smith out of Michigan. Tell you the truth, you could have flipped these two, and I wouldn't have been mad. You get him in the 2nd round. Darnell Washington, some people were mocking early in the 1st. I didn't think so. I would have mocked him late in the 2nd. You get him at the bottom of the 3rd, goes to the perfect team in Pittsburgh, wants to be a run-heavy team. He's tight end number 2, so when he doesn't put up big numbers, nobody's really going to care. But he will contribute to this offense, which is really important. Nick Herbig, bottom of the 4th round, this is a perfect spot for him to go to. Just a raw edge rusher type of player. Really, the Steelers just did a fantastic job. I love the fact that you leapfrog the Jets with the Patriots. I love that. Joey Porter Jr. at the top of the 2nd round is just phenomenal. Hey, scouts are wrong all the time. Broderick Jones, top of the 1st round, amazing. Oh, I'm sorry, Joey Porter Jr., top of the 2nd round, just amazing. Kenny Benton, excellent pick. Really going to help this team out. Darnell Washington, great. Herbie, this is a fantastic draft. If Broderick Jones ends up being your day one starter at left tackle, then I can make a case it should be higher than A minus. Should be an A. Another team I gave an A minus to is another AFC North team, and as another team I'm really upset about, Cincinnati Bengals. Miles Murphy at 28. I had him mocked possibly to Detroit at 6. There's no way Miles Murphy should be available at 28. This is a deep edge rusher class, so I get why he dipped, but this is a guy who goes to the right team in Cincinnati. Doesn't need to be a day one starter. He'll take over as starter. I think he'll beat out Sam Hubbard, just a matter of time. DJ Turner, 4th round film, 1st round combine. For those of you who remember, ran 4.27. He's a bigger dude, 5'11", 190. Tape wasn't overly impressive, but when you're on 4.27, bottom of the 2nd round for the Cincinnati Bengals, I absolutely love. Goes Lou Amarino, one of the best defensive coordinators in the business. Doesn't need to play right away. He'll contribute on special teams. If he can put all those physical gifts together, then you just get an absolute steal. Jordan Battle, you traded with Kansas City of all teams. Jordan Battle was a guy I would have loved that Kansas City took at 92. Instead, Jordan Battle, maybe you're starting strong safety. You traded back with Kansas City. You kind of win that trade, and then you get a safety maybe a starter at the bottom of round 3 with Miles Murphy. By the way, the Bengals defense was really good. You got 2 big improvements. 2 wide receivers. I actually would have flipped this. The kid from Princeton, Andre Vozis. I'm butchering that name. I thought he was going to go in the second round. If he played in an SEC school, he would have been a second round pick. Big, strong, fast, had phenomenal combine. Why he was available late in the 6th round, I have no clue. He's going to make this team. I'm not sure why the Bengals drafted 2 wide receivers. I think it's a little unusual that a team wants to keep 7 wide receivers. It wouldn't surprise me if they try to move T. Higgins in the offseason, maybe try to move Tyler Boyd. I mean, that's kind of why you draft 2 wide receivers. Don't get me wrong, even if these guys contribute on special teams, it's a little confusing, but they get excellent value. Chase Brown at the bottom of the 5th round is probably going to make this team be your backup running back behind Joe Mixon. Punter at the end of the 6th round. I actually don't mind DJ Ivy at the very late 7th round. I don't know if he makes the team. Doesn't matter. I mean, it's the bottom of the 7th round. What a great pick. What a great job by the Cincinnati Bengals. Really underrated draft. Not in my books. I give him an A-. Miles Murphy, wouldn't surprise me if he gets 10 to 15 sacks year 1. And then Battle could be your starter. Really good wide receivers. You also may be playing hardball with the Bengals wideouts when the contracts come up. So. Hey, the Lions should have got a bonus for trading with the Pack to get Brand, especially because they could use some safety help. Maybe. I mean, I'll be honest. Some of the trades that they made, according to my draft chart, weren't really great. But I thought B+ was fair. I feel pretty confident with that. I gave Green Bay a C-. If anything, I would ding Green Bay. Team I gave an A to, it probably should be a little obvious, but the team that got an A was the New England Patriots. I absolutely love the Patriots draft. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I'm very high on Keon White. You get him in the middle of the 2nd round. It wouldn't surprise me. I said this many times. It wouldn't surprise me 10 years from now. We're talking about Keon White is being one of the 3 best players in this draft. Here's a guy who's 290, can run like an outside linebacker. Perfect spot in New England because he can be used all over. New England's a team on defense are going like kind of positionless football. They're just putting bodies out there, and Keon White's a perfect fit. You trade down with Pittsburgh and you still get Christian Gonzalez at 17. How the hell do you do that? You talk about things that are unfair. You got my number 1 corner. You're New England at 14. You trade down to 17. You still get the best corner in the draft. This is just unfair. Their mid-3rd round pick, I didn't know too much about. He's going to be like a safety linebacker combo. I wouldn't like this pick for all teams. Love it for New England because they're going to figure a way to use this guy properly. One kind of semi-misconception about this draft is that they have 2 guards and a center. Sidney Sal, they're listing him as a guard. I'll bet you almost anything he's going to be a tackle, if not Sal. Maffei, I think Maffei is going to be used inside. I think Sal's going to be used outside. So even the 2 guards in the center, I'm convinced one of these guys is going to be a tackle. Sal, I think, could be a starter at right tackle. This is a really good pick. And then you draft both a punter and a kicker. Really like that. Bill Belichick, for those of you who don't know, started out special teams. So I really, really like that. Kayshon Boutte in the 6th round could be one of the steals of the draft. This is a guy some people thought going into the draft would be a top 10 pick, just really disappointing. And I saw a lot of mock drafts where he goes 2nd round. Patriots get him in the 6th round. That's a perfect spot for him because if he can't live up to those expectations, you just get rid of him. Yeah. Kicker, punter, and LSU wide receiver about to win 10 to 6 scores each. And by the way, the final pick in the 7th round, Isaiah Bolden from Jackson State, big physical corner, got coached by Dion. I love that pick late. But you get a punter and a kicker, 3 offensive linemen, a wide receiver late. Everybody thought that the Patriots would load up on skill position players, but they didn't feel like that was the issue. By the way, they got Juju Smith-Schuster and the tight end from Miami, went to Penn State, Gesicki. So they did get some weapons in free agency, but what they felt like their issue was on the offensive line. And I thought it was genius because all three of these picks are really good players, and they get them in the 4th round. So they got some excellent value here. I love what the Patriots did. 3 picks in the 4th round, 1 in the 5th. 4 in the 6th and 1 in the 7th. And a lot of these players are going to make the team, and a lot of these players are going to contribute. But their first 2 picks in the draft are both A picks, Gonzalez and White. I would have given the Patriots an A+, but I think one team very easily won this draft, and that's, without question, the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, trading down or trading up from 10 to 9 and getting Jalen Carter. I know some teams had some trepidation about Jalen Carter. He couldn't go to a better situation. He's got some of his Georgia teammates. Fletcher Cox is going into Hall of Fame someday. Brandon Graham's going into the Eagles Ring of Honor. They'll straighten this kid out if he doesn't come ready to play. Butte is worthless, in my opinion. Dude had one good year and gave up last year. Liked them in the season. That exactly. I mean, he showed potential to be a 2nd round pick because he's chosen in the 6th round. Either the potential pays out or they just cut him. The Patriots are not sentimental. So he's either going to get cut, and it's not that big of a loss because you had a lot of draft picks in the 6th round anyway. But if it does pan out, then you get a stud. That's why I love the pick. I mean, that's why I love getting him in the 6th round. With Philly, you have Jalen Carter, but Nolan Smith going 30th. How the hell did that happen? I could not figure that out for the life of me. Ace the combine, watch the film, looks like a top 20 player all day. I know there's an injury concern. Doesn't matter. He goes to a place where he can just learn. Fantastic move. Tyler Steen, top of the 3rd round, perfect spot for him because he's going to be a backup, offensive line depth, and he kicks in the inside. May end up being your swing tackle. Great move for the Eagles. Sidney Brown in the 3rd round. What a great draft pick. Could have got him in the 2nd round and wouldn't have complained at all. Would have been a great pick. Kelly Ringo at the top of the 4th round. I kept on mocking him in the 1st round. Goes to the perfect place. Tanner McGee in the 6th round is an absolute steal for the Eagles. This is a guy you could have drafted in the 3rd round. If you would have told me Detroit Lions are going to take quarterback in the top of the 3rd round, I'm probably saying that's Tanner McGee, and that makes sense. You get Tanner McGee in essentially early 6th round. This is a perfect guy. He may end up being your backup quarterback. This is a great move because you're paying him almost nothing, and he may end up being your backup quarterback. Well, you have salary cap issues, so bringing in a guy like this, and if it doesn't pan out, you just get rid of him. It's a big deal. They got a defensive tackle late in the 7th round. Wouldn't surprise me if he makes this Eagles team. This is a pretty good player, and you get him late in the 7th round. All of these picks, every single one of these picks, with the exception of Tyler Steen, they got fantastic value. They're players that the Eagles want to build inside out, and then they added some pieces to the secondary that they lose CJ, GJ, so you get a couple guys in the secondary to help replace. And what I like is that with Kelly Ringo, you get him at the top of the 4th round. He wants to be a diva. That was kind of the rumor. That was the reason why a lot of people thought, kind of the reason why he dipped, is that a lot of people thought it was going to be had kind of a 5-star. They quote unquote was a 5-star attitude. Well, cut his ass. It doesn't matter. He's 4th round pick. I've seen 4th round I've seen 3rd round picks get cut. So that's why I look. He either pans out or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, just get rid of him. It's not a big deal. So that's what I really, 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 really liked. Nolan Smith looked like a beast. Yeah, exactly. Doesn't need to play right away. He recovers from the injury. You're basically looking at North Georgia right there in Philly. If he can play right away, they'll use him on third down only, probably right away. They'll spot Brandon Graham. Jalen Carter, who knows what they'll do. Does he play right away? Does he just, I don't know, but I mean, this is easily the team that won the draft. I mean, getting Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith in the first round alone, but I love Sidney Brown, Kelly Ringo, Tanner McGee, and Moro Ojamo late in the draft is fantastic. Yeah. And you know what the damn shame is? Nolan Smith, I thought that combine was going to propel him into the top 15, goes to 30, and that's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Who's going to close the gap to the Eagles in the NFC? Not San Francisco, not Green Bay, not Dallas. Seahawks, San Francisco, the most realistic picks. Well, here's the drill with San Francisco. Who's going to be the quarterback? Because here's the deal. You're going to go with Trey Lance, right? So let's say you get Trey Lance, okay? He has to prove he's worth the third pick in the draft. He has to live up to expectations. And we don't know they will. Excuse me. Let's say you want to roll with Brock Purdy. Okay, which I would be on board because I think the team played better with Purdy. Okay. You trade Tyler. Great. I'm already forgetting his name. I was just talking about him and I forgot his name. I'm really embarrassed about that. All right, Trey Lance. Okay, back to getting my names right here. You can probably trade him for a player that can help you win this year. Probably trade for a player this year. Geno Smith improves his play. Seattle absolutely could be a dangerous team. Kenneth Walker could be better. Their offensive line's going to get better. Jackson Smith and Jigba, just a weapon. I mean, Seattle, I think clearly gets better in this draft. I just thought Witherspoon at 5 was a little bit of a reach. I thought he was a first round player before the combine. I mean, then they runs a 4.39 at over 240. I thought that cemented him in top 15. For him to fall to 30, I think is mind boggling. I thought his tape was first round tape. So I'm going to Philly's perfect spot. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that, and I was like, guys, 242 or something like that. I mean, I love this tape, and then, yeah, he did. And by the way, for those of you who don't remember, Josh Allen's first 2 years in the NFL, he was a below average quarterback. He was not good. Then they got Diggs, and he put in the work. Maybe changed. And it's kind of rare that quarterbacks do that. So give a lot of credit to Josh Allen. By the way, he did regress a little bit. A lot of people thought he's better than Mahomes. Oh, really? So, yeah. Here's what I think. If Purdy can come back from elbow surgery and he's 100% going into preseason, I think you make some phone calls and see if somebody's interested in Trey Lance. Minnesota would be a great team. Tampa Bay would be a great team. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Maybe the Saints. I don't know, but I mean, if I'm San Francisco and Purdy is ready to go, I may go with that. Remember, you got Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's a guy that I remember. This is third overall pick. I mean, this is a guy who had a massive ceiling, and he kept on going to places that were just bad fits. The situation in Carolina. I mean, he got hurt and was just kind of a disaster there. Tell you the truth, if I'm San Francisco, I look at Darnold and I look at him and I say, can this guy have the potential to be the starter? I really would. I'm really high on Sam Darnold, so maybe that's not really fair, but that's what I would do. But Trey Lance, if I'm San Francisco and he's not going to be my guy, I have to get rid of him. And then the question is, where does he go? Well, I just named a few teams. I think Zach Wilson could also get traded. You could do a lot of different things. Or maybe Zach Wilson. No, they don't believe in him. You don't make a move like this for Rodgers. You traded it's a second with a conditional first. He has to play, I think, like 60 or 70% of snaps, barring a serious injury. It's a first round pick. So the Jets give up a lot. That's why I gave the Jets a C- grade, is because you're giving up a lot because it's Super Bowl or bust, right? When's the last time Jets won a playoff game? Like 10 years? So now it's Super Bowl or bust. Hey, we didn't make the playoffs last year, but Super Bowl or bust this year. We're the team to beat. Really? I mean, look at that AFC East. The Patriots got better. Bills had a really good draft. People are sleeping on the Dolphins, but they made some really good moves. That AFC East is tough. And I gave them a C- because I think you had to go all in. And at 15, you draft a guy that, you got to put on some weight. And, he can be used on third down. And they really needed to go offensive line first. Now, keep in mind, their fourth round pick, the tackle out of Pittsburgh, he pans out. He becomes like your starting left tackle. You're in great shape, but I don't know about I don't know about that, but no, they don't believe in him. You got to find a team that wants to develop a quarterback. I mentioned this earlier, but you got a team like Minnesota. I think Minnesota would be a perfect place, but you have to give there may be cap consequences in Minnesota. They may not be able to afford them, but you might have to give up. You might have to take like a 6th or a 7th or something really small. But if I'm the Jets, I get rid of Zach Wilson as fast as I can. And I wouldn't mind if it was like a garbage pick, like a 6th or 7th round pick. Minnesota would be a team, Tampa Bay. Those would be my top 2 teams. I don't understand. If Tanner McGee was a 6th round pick, why couldn't Tampa Bay draft him? I don't get that at all. That makes no sense to me. I don't understand this at all. And it's something that really bothers me, as you can kind of tell. And that's and by the way, I did like, I really, really, really did like Tampa Bay's draft, but I couldn't understand no running back. I also could not understand, excuse me. I couldn't understand no running back, no quarterback. That made no sense. So Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, yeah. Drew Lock taking the Seahawks to the Super Bowl. Well, me and Drew Lock went to the same high school, different years. The FAU, the player the Chiefs drafted in the first round, went to Lee Summit also. But when he went to Lee Summit, there was multiple Lee Summits. I know Drew Lock went to the one I went to. I don't know which one FAU went to. Still not happy with that. Drew Lock's a guy also that if he really pans out, don't be surprised if Drew Lock wins that starting job. Seattle's the only team in the NFL that can go into a year and just give a guy like Drew Lock a shot. But Drew Lock at preseason caught COVID. And he wasn't able to compete in the last couple of preseason games, but he was a legitimate chance to win that starting job. And he has more upside. So I'll say this about the Lions draft. They all perform. Nobody's going to absolutely that. I mean, seriously, those top 5 picks alone should give you an A or an A+. I gave him a B+. That's why I said you wouldn't like the grade, because I can't give him an A for reaching. I can't give an A for reaching, but they got everybody they got's going to contribute. That it's a really 10 years from now, we may be talking about this as being the easily the best draft class, the Lions, easily, especially if Hendon Hooker's starting quarterback. So I told Broncos fans for a year with our reaching coaching staffs, Allen would be a backup in 2 years. His situation development propelled his career. Broncos fan, Allen. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Oh, John, which Allen? I'm sorry, man. I'm drawing a blank. The Seahawks did get ridiculed. Nobody liked Russell Wilson. Richard Sherman was really mad because he said that. Remember, he was a former wide receiver that Harbaugh switched him to defensive back, and apparently there was a rumor that he said some things before the draft about Richard Sherman. He thought that Richard Sherman said that hurt his draft stock, but when he came to Seattle, they let the best players play, and Richard Sherman's clearly one of the best players. And yeah, but you're right. They did get ridiculed. They did not have a great draft grade. So Dable seems to have the magic touch. Daniel Jones looks like a completely different quarterback last season. Now they have some weapons. I also like the fact that they improved the offensive line. They also drafted Evan Neal, who was not did not really play well despite being the 7th pick in the draft. I'm looking forward to him having a really good mini camp and off season, because if he becomes a stud on the right side, Andrew Thomas really developed. We may be talking about Andrew Thomas being the best left tackle in football next year, and then Evan Neal being a stud on the right side. Remember, they drafted a center. So the offensive line's solid. Jalen Hyatt doesn't need to be a superstar there. He just has to add they needed some speed on that offense. They also had some injuries. Giants could be a very scary team. I'm not sold on Daniel Jones. I know they drafted running back. I didn't check about the Barkley situation. I've been staying off social media and NFL because I wanted to give you my draft grades and not regurgitate what ESPN or the NFL Network gave you. So I have no idea if maybe Barkley signed to a contract. I'm not sure. JET. I gave him a C-. I give him C-. Unpopular. The Eagles draft was overrated. Mike drop. Wouldn't be a damn. I know one pride hates me, man. One pride hates me. It's my boy. COVID affected lots of people. One of my closest friends, like a brother. I don't want to say who he is. He may get mad, but I mean, he had that long-term COVID sickness. I kind of want to keep. I don't want to rant on that. I know. I know. I may get banned here. I gave him a B+. And the only reason they didn't get an A or an A+ is I thought. Okay. I gave him a B+, and the only reason they didn't get an A was because they reached, and I didn't like either one of their picks in the first round. I think they lost round 1, but round 2 they won round 2, and then they day 2 nobody did better than the Lions. Nobody, not even close. And then trading Swift for a 4th round pick. Now people are going to say, well, it's a 2025. So what's the value? Usually what you do is you take a pick for next year and you subtract a round. So that 4th round pick be a 5th round pick. But here's the thing. You can use that pick, even though it's a 2025 draft pick, you can trade for next year. So you can use that. A 4th round pick's not bad for a player a former 2nd round pick that you're not going to use, that you're not going to re-sign. It's on the last year of his contract. It's really, to be honest, I didn't mention this about Philly because they had such a good draft, but it's a win-win for both teams. If Swift pans out for Philly, you can re-sign him and give him some money because you got Rashad Penny on a 1-year deal too. So one of those guys is going to pan out. One of those guys aren't. And the money that they're giving both Penny and Swift is less than what Miles Sanders is making. So you get 2 players for the price of 1, and because you gave Jalen Hurts all that money, that really works out. Okay, I get what you're saying now. Yeah, the Broncos thought that this was a developmental pick. I said this when they drafted him. I said that, I think just give him the reins. I mean, I know you get a bunch of money to Flacco, and then when they moved Flacco and they signed Bridgewater, I said, well, Bridgewater's going to be backup, and if it's not, everybody's going to get fired. They started Bridgewater and everybody got fired. Seattle's the only team that could sign a quarterback like Geno Smith. They give him, I think, 3-year, 105. Seattle's the only NFL team I can legitimately say that if Drew Lock goes into preseason and really outperforms Geno Smith, that he'll take over the starting job. Seattle's the only team I can say that definitely. A lot of teams will look at contract and draft status as a reason to play one player over the other. Seattle really doesn't care. They're the only team I can legitimately say that about. So take my Kansas City Chiefs, for example. If Isaiah Pacheco played the way he did in preseason, he would have started day one in Seattle. But, because of him being the 7th round pick and the Chiefs having CEH in the 1st round, they gave CEH a chance. So not mad at CEH, not bad at the Chiefs. I mean, Chiefs won Super Bowl. So, but yeah. Wasn't there a year that your experts hated CEH? Yeah. Yeah, it might have been, I think it was 2013 that they drafted. I think it was KJ Collins. I don't think they were fond of the Bobby Wagner pick. I don't remember. I think that was earlier though. But I think that pick was KJ Wright. I'm sorry. I think it was KJ Wright, Russell Wilson, and KJ Wright 2nd round pick. Russell Wilson 3rd, 5th round was Richard Sherman. Cam Chancellor may have been a 7th round pick, but yeah. Philly signed Florida Gator Cox, university undrafted rookie free agent. A lot of I didn't know they signed. By the way, I haven't looked at any of the undrafted players, and normally I do. It's just I did not want to look at any. I didn't want to get any draft grades. So what you're getting from me, and I'm going to recap this. I have Philly as my winner. I gave them an A+, New England an A. I gave Pittsburgh and Cincinnati A minuses. I gave Detroit, Indianapolis, and Buffalo a B+. I gave Seattle, Jacksonville, the Rams, Tennessee, Houston, and the Giants a B. Dallas, Baltimore, Vegas, Saints, and Bucks, I gave a B-. Carolina, Cleveland, Denver, and San Francisco all got C+. I gave Atlanta, Chargers, and Vikings a C. Jets, Packers, Chiefs, Bears, Washington got C-. And Arizona, Miami got D+, mostly because of tampering situations. The 4 players Miami drafted, great job. Arizona, it's hard for me to justify when they made 2 trades for 2024 draft picks, and it really looks like they're just giving up on this year completely. And with the coaching staff they have, which is extremely, with all first-time defense coordinator, first-time offense coordinator, first-time head coach, new general manager, all 4 of those guys aren't coming back if the Cardinals have a bad year. I mean, and that's kind of what looks like it's going to happen. So this is really kind of it's kind of a tough situation for the Cardinals to be in. So is it fair? No, you know what? Life's not fair. 2012 class for the Seahawks had 3 all-pro players and a lot of contributors. That was the one that got a lot of hate. You know what? There's always draft classes that look really good and they end up not panning out. Last year, I had the Jets winning the draft. They got my A+ grade. I had Baltimore with an A grade. And we're now going to see what happens. Because remember, they had David Ojabo and a few other players. But, Kansas City and Philly, I gave B+ grades to, and both of them sounded like a lot of fun. So, they got some hate. Um, if Anthony Richardson doesn't pan out, the Colts may not deserve a B plus. So, and is it fair to give Buffalo a B plus just because they got two of my draft crushes? Maybe not, but that's what I gave them. So odds to win Rookie of the Year: Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, Tyree Wilson, Christian Gonzalez. Yeah, that's a pretty good list. I'm trying to think of anybody else. I'd be curious, who may be a dark horse to win Rookie of the Year, and you'd have to have an injury or two, would be Nolan Smith. Miles Murphy would also be an interesting player because he's not going to start right away, but I think sooner or later he's going to be a starter. And as Cincinnati's offense takes a step up, that would be interesting. But that's pretty interesting. I might have some odds and some stuff come out later. After having a hiatus from social media over the next couple of days, I'm going to kind of get caught up and hear what some other people have to say, and I could revisit my draft grades. But I just really, really, really didn't want to look at social media. I wanted to give you my opinion without any outside influences. I may look at the outside influences, hear what they have to say, and go, "Oh, I didn't think about that." So I believe the Lions want to run a similar offense to the Saints when they had Kamara and Ingram, gave teams a lot of headaches. Top-tier offensive line, we might run their offense. Well, I mean, when they brought over the Saints coaching staff, I thought they were just going to copy what the Saints are doing, and that's just smart because the Saints at the time had the blueprint that you wanted to follow, and that was a consistent winner that had a really good team. Now, they failed in the playoffs, but let me ask you this here. Would you rather have 5 straight years of 11, 12 wins and no playoffs, or would you rather do what the Rams did and have 1 playoff year and then 5 games the next? I mean, it's kind of, I'll tell you right now, as a Chiefs fan, I'll take consistent playoff wins that over a losing season any day. I mean, yeah. So, I really thought that they would do that. Instead, they went with the 3-4 defense instead of the Saints 4-3. Didn't like that at all. Hasn't worked so far. But what they did last year in the draft and what they did this year in the draft, they have the pieces to really make that work. Jack Campbell's a 3-down linebacker. He's a guy that's really perfect fit for your defense because he's big enough to play that, that inside linebacker. If you're going like the guy that takes on guards, he has that size, but he also has range and speed. So I really, really like that pick. I said this before the draft. I think he's a guy that's going to go to a team and 125 tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and nobody really talk about him, but he'll just fill up the stat sheet and be really good. He may be a solid, not spectacular player, but you guys are going to love him. You guys are going to love him. Seriously, if you want a long shot to win Rookie of the Year, take a guy like Miles Murphy, Nolan Smith. Seriously, let me ask you something. Hassan Reddick gets hurt at 17.5 sacks last year. Hassan Reddick gets hurt. Nolan Smith could fill that role and get 12, 13 sacks. Easy. And he would play like Hassan Reddick only played like 60% of snaps and got 17.5 sacks. So, yeah. Here's the deal. Inside linebacker positional value is freefalled. Okay. Last year, Jacksonville traded back into the first round. At pick 27 or 26, they took Devin Lloyd. I had Devin Lloyd rated higher than Jack Campbell. I also had Trenton Simpson and Drew Sanders rated higher. Drew Sanders went in the 3rd round to Denver. That's a guy that may start. And by the way, that's like a poor man's Micah Parsons. I mean, if they unlock if they unlock the Drew Sanders potential in Denver, that could be a steal. I mean, what if they get a guy who can play linebacker, rush the passer, get very creative? I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. I think he could. I absolutely could. And the reason why, he's going to fill up the stat sheet. He's not going to leave the field. The problem with a guy like Jack Campbell is he's not going to get a lot of sacks. He's not going to get a lot of sacks. He's not going to get a lot of interceptions. He's going to have a lot of games where it's like, 9 tackles, and he's going to make, big time plays that aren't going to seem like the big time plays. Like, 2nd and 7, instead of getting that first down, Jack Campbell's going to tackle him. And he's going to, it'll be 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 3. And those type of players don't make Sports Center, but they're big time plays where a linebacker might not have the size, speed, athleticism, or tackling ability to make that tackle. So that may be a 10 to 12 yard play where a guy like Jack Campbell limits that to a 4-yard gain. And that's a big deal. Yeah, and he's not Kuechly's type of player. And by the way, I did not think Kuechly was that good coming out of Boston College. I was like, wow. You have to look it up. Look it up for me. I'm not going to. Patrick Willis, he might have done it. Shaq Leonard did win it. Campbell would have to put up some crazy stats, and the 163 tackles maybe, but I mean he's not getting that many sacks. 4 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions. Yeah. Well, your D line needs to take a step up, but I really like what you did. Pascal, I didn't like that pick, but now I like it because you could have him play a 5-tech, right? I forgot the guy you got at Western Kentucky. He could be your 0. So the way it would work is that Pascal would be the defensive end. The guy out of Western Kentucky would be your nose tackle, and then you would have McNeil be your defensive tackle. You have Houston on one side, and then you would have Hutchinson on the other side. And even though it's a 3-4 defense, you basically have a 5-man front. So that's why I'm like throwing 3-4-4-3. I'm trying to transition and just go odd even because I think that's what you're looking at. I think you could see a lot of 5-man fronts. I could also see flipping it around, have a lot of 3-man fronts, and have McNeil at the nose, Kuechly or Pascal on one side and Hutchinson on the other, and you would that would be like something you would do like maybe obvious passing situations where you have a 3-man, 8 back, and you could get creative like that, and then on 1st and 2nd down you can have that standard 5-man front, so you can get a little creative. I have no idea what Detroit's going to do defensively. Are they going to use a multifaceted defense where you're going to see some even, some odd fronts? How are they going to use Brian Branch and CJGJ? Are they going to have Brian Branch just back up CJGJ and play on special teams? Or are they going to use both these guys at the same time and use them both as interchangeable chess pieces, where you don't know where these guys are lining up? You could have these guys, are they playing safety, but they're really nickel corners? Are you going to blitz one of these guys? Because both those guys could blitz. You can have a lot of fun with that defense. A guy like Brian Branch on the right defense could be really special. Now, if you're just going to pigeonhole him and use him as he's a slot corner, Luke calls him a slot corner. Now, I think it would be a waste of a 1st-round pick. But guess what? You use him in the 1st round, use him in the 2nd round. So that's why I really like the value of him. So a team like the Patriots, I think, would use him as an interchangeable draft piece, and he would have been worth a top 20 pick. I have no idea how the Lions are going to use him. There's a lot of question marks about the Lions, and Aaron Glenn needs to earn his paycheck. I mean, he's got tools now. There's no excuse for the Lions defense to be, I think like 28th in points, 29th in yards, something like that. They can't be a bottom 5 defense this year. They need to be at least minimum middle of the pack. No excuses. And if they do have a bad defense, he needs to go. And you need to bring somebody in who can use these guys. Maybe bring in a new defensive scheme. I don't know. Shaq Leonard, those are phenomenal numbers. I had no idea they were that good, to be honest with you. I had no idea. But yeah, I remember he was a 2nd-round pick. Not a lot of people were really high on him because he was undersized, played at South Carolina State, and the Colts just said, we don't care, plug and play, boom, just lit it up. Can Jack Campbell do something like that? Not really. I think that's unrealistic because the deal with Leonard had a lot of speed. The only reason he lasted 2nd round's level of competition, Campbell doesn't have that. But I think with Campbell, I think 125, 3, and then the 2, 4, and 8, you may be able to get, but he's not getting 7 sacks, and he's probably not getting 163, but he might. I would be really surprised if there's a situation where Jack Campbell leaves the field. He's going to play every down. He's not going to be spectacular like Leonard. And Lions fans, don't try to compare these two. Okay. They're not, you're not getting the same player. There's a difference. There's a different tier here, but you need somebody like that, and you got him, and it's a really good pick. And even you may not be happy with the B+ draft grade. If you're a Lions fan, hey, I'm giving them B+. You may not like it, but it's fair. It really is. It's a very fair grade. It makes sense. If Hendon Hooker is the backup or he's your starter in 2024, 2025, this could be one of the greatest draft classes in Lions history. It could really be something very special. I think Campbell's going to be solid. I don't think he's going to be spectacular. I don't think he's going to do this. I don't think he's going to do that, but he's going to put up some good numbers. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think ideally gets 10 to 15 touches. If you want to use him as a special teams guy, then and I don't know why you picked him 12th overall. You don't do that with 12th overall pick, but who cares if he wins? Brian Branch, do you use him right? That's going to be a big question. Do you use him right? So, and Laporta, I like a lot because the reason why it is a reach. He's going to put up some numbers that if he was a wide receiver instead of a tight end, he would probably command 20 to 25 million. Whether by the Lions or somebody else, he's probably going to get like 8 to 10. And I think he is going to have that. He's going to have that type of an impact, and he's going to be a really great player. Is he a blocker? No. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to get off of here. The one thing I want to say, I meant to do a little more with graphics. There's a few other points, but I was really struggling. This is my final draft grade. As you can see here, I have some teams crossed out and everything. It was kind of difficult. A lot of things I wanted to change, move around. It was kind of difficult, but I thought it was fair. I thought it was good. What I'm going to do is over the next couple of days, I'm going to try to figure out what some of the other, draft experts are saying, ESPN, Mel Kiper, NFL Network, Daniel Jeremiah, and see what I have kind of jives with what they have. When I go live again Friday, I'll be back Friday. If I have any revisits, I'll let you know. Below is all my social media. So, One Pride mentioned that he messaged me. If you DM me, I DM you back. Slasher follows, One Pride 40 follows me on Instagram. Keys tweets me out. I'm old school. I can use Facebook, even though I think I'm still in Facebook jail, but you can hit me up on all of those. Follow me on social media. And if you leave a comment on any one of my YouTube videos, including this one, I usually try to get back to you as quickly as possible, usually the same day. Every now and then YouTube will eat some of the comments, especially for you guys who are part of the Red Pill community. You may have been filtered out by YouTube because YouTube does not like that stuff, but I get it. I'm talking to you, One Try. But if you leave a comment, I usually get back to you. You can communicate with me through YouTube comments, which I definitely appreciate. And then you also can follow me on social media. You can DM me, and usually I get back to you pretty quickly. I usually have my phone on me. Even the last couple of days, I've been not using it. So if there's no questions, I'm going to get off of here. I'm excited about the draft. Don't forget, I will be back live Friday, 7 p.m. normal standard time. This is just a special show, so I can't wait to see everybody back on Friday. That said, I'm out of here. You guys have a good week, and I'll see you back on Friday.